Okay, so as a city with infrastructure to host the draft, DC could be the perfect city for that.
Greetings and salutations and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and on today's Top Shelf Tuesday edition, Segment 1, DC don't stand for Dodge City no more. It might be draft city. We'll talk about the draft and the impact on DC and the stadium negotiations. In Segment 2, we'll talk about football issues and when it's time to go and what some of these teams are doing. And in Segment 3, schedule comes out this week. We're going to prep some of the games you might want to take a peek at. With me today is our favorite teacher of the month every month, Mike Connors. Mike, I hope you're well. How are you, sir?
I am doing well, and we are recording on Mother's Day evening, so happy Mother's Day to all our mothers out there.
Absolutely. I have a house full of people, so hopefully I don't interrupt their party. And let's go ahead and get started. DC doesn't stand for Dodge City, so the District of Columbia, it is anticipated, Mike, will shatter attendance records when it holds the NFL draft in 2027. As we have said on the show, the draft is kind of a precursor to possibly hosting a Super Bowl. We have some local DC council people who are talking about the taxes and things like that. Yeah, okay. Good luck with that. Because the Detroit Sports Commission, when they hosted the draft in 2024, had an economic impact of $213 million on the city. And last month's first round draft was watched by 13.6 million people, the second highest total in history. So, yeah, Mike, what are you thinking about with DC hosting the draft and possibly getting a Super Bowl in the future if DC allows them to build on the RFK site?
Okay, let's talk draft first, and then we'll get to Super Bowl. Okay, there's certain things you need to host a draft nowadays. One, outdoor venue. Okay, DC holds a couple of things outdoor every couple years. It's called an inauguration. Okay, they have the 4th of July festivities on the mall every year. They have countless things that go on outside at the mall and in that area. So they have the ability to host over 1 million people very, very easily. Okay, so that they have the accommodations, they have the hotels, they have the infrastructure, they have wonderful mass transit with the metro to get around. So all of the infrastructure and business aspects that you would need to host a draft are there. DC has the manpower, they have the police. Not that they would need National Guard for a problem, but if they needed more people to patrol the streets to keep people in certain areas, they have that right there. It wouldn't add that much to the budget. Okay, so as a city with infrastructure to host the draft, DC could be the perfect city for that. Okay, weather-wise, the draft is in the spring. It could be 30.
They got the cherry blossoms down on the tidal basin.
It could be 95. So it could be the perfect place to have it, where you're not having people freeze, you're not having people die of heat stroke. So it has that going for it. And now let's just look at the geography. How many teams have fans close to DC? And I don't mean a handful here and there. Every city has an NFL bar for the Dolphins. They have a bar for the Seattle Seahawks. But let's just talk geographically what areas are close to DC. So you have the Redskins fans, obviously. Okay, 90 minutes up the road, you have the Baltimore Ravens. You have a ton of Carolina Panther fans in the southern part of Virginia, just down 95, and in North Carolina. Pittsburgh, not that far. Okay, 3-4 hour drive, maybe 5 if you go up to the northern part. Okay, New York teams, Jets and Giants. I can hop on an Amtrak or hop on 95 and be down there in just over 3.5 hours.
And you skip the Eagles.
Skip the Eagles. Oh, I try not to think about the Eagles. We all try to avoid Philly. Again, Philly, them also, obviously. They're very easy to get there also. So you could have tons of people getting there for an
3 major airports as well.
Yeah, that didn't even get to the airports. Yeah, so if you wanted to fly in, very easy. So DC has everything going for it. The only thing that scares me is someone's going to make it more political than it needs to be. Okay, one side's going to blame the other. This side's going to blame that side. The DC council's going to want this, that, the other thing. Virginia's going to want their slice. Maryland's going to want their slice. So someone's going to gum it up somehow. I mean, it will happen, but you know there's going to be a major snafu. Boss Tweed is going to get involved with Tammany Hall here, and it's just going to go amok. Okay.
Social studies reference.
So yeah, okay. If you need that, I'll put a link to a web quest you can do in your spare time. Now, as for hosting the Super Bowl, DC would make a lot of sense if this new stadium they're building where RFK is has the dome. As we all know, the New York sports teams were too stupid to build a dome so that they could host events all year long. They were lucky to get one Super Bowl, and I guarantee they'll maybe get one more, if that, because in the New York area, in beginning of February, it could be 7 feet of snow and 12 degrees below zero. DC, you'll have a little bit of weather, not as much, but if you have that dome, and they're talking about $4 billion glass ceiling dome there, it makes total sense to put that into the normal rotation. Again, 3 airports, tons of hotels, easy access, a lot of teams very close to it. And politically, what would look better for the NFL than having the Capitol building as the marquee in the backdrop with a Roman numeral 63 or 65 on the dome? It just makes sense. But again, what scares me? Politics. Politics and sports go hand in hand, unfortunately, and something's going to gum it up. You know that they're going to want to put it there as the NFL because that's the most marketable city on the East Coast besides New York, I think, to host a Super Bowl. Okay. Philly has some things to offer, but not as much as DC. Okay. And yeah, I'm not going to go there. But so I think that it makes a lot of sense to give it a test run. You know, we talked about Tennessee hosting the draft last year, but we worry about their infrastructure. We talked about that. Great city, great little market, but it's a little market. Okay, same thing with Lambeau. There's not a lot of hotels around Lambeau. Could they handle press row, everything else? You know, they didn't have a ton of people. People were driving 3 hours plus to go to the draft from hotels. So that would be a problem for a Super Bowl. And plus outdoors, I mean, the Giants played there against the Packers in a championship game, and it was minus 10 degrees. Everyone thought Tom Coughlin was going to freeze to death on the sideline. So, you know, the weather is a part there. So if DC can be smart and not get in their own way, I can't see anything but positives coming from having a draft there as a dry run and then having a Super Bowl within the next 5 years. Yeah. After the stadium's built, not from now. I mean, it's going to take a while for that.
2030 is when the stadium comes in. So, yeah, 2031.
Give it 1 year to get through any issues that they have, growing pains. And it's a great location. I mean, I wish that anyone who's a sports fan should experience a sporting event at RFK. I mean, I went to a international soccer game there for my first event there back in 1991. I saw the United States play Ireland in the U.S. Cup, and the United States beat Ireland. And that building was shaking. I literally was scared as a 21-year-old that the building was hopping up and down. I mean, it was incredible. So hopefully what they build there, this new stadium dome, can have some of that aura. And I mean, and I'm not a Washington fan, remember. I'm a New York fan. But that place was special.
Yeah, that place rocked. All right. So fans, in segment 2, we're going to get back on the field and talk about some football-related issues. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Keith Adams, and for years, I've witnessed the struggles student-athletes face on how to truly balance the demands of academics and athletics. It's a question that I have dedicated my life to answering. That's why I wrote Finding the Balance, my personal journey to academic and athletic success. It's more than just a book. It is my personal journey, and it is filled with hard-earned lessons from decades as a coach, educator, and now president of the CKA Safe Project. Inside, you will find practical advice, real-life stories, and a clear roadmap to help student athletes, coaches, and parents navigate the complex world of balancing sports and education. And now I am thrilled to bring this message to a wider audience as a proud member of the Cascade Sports Network. We're partnering to amplify these crucial conversations about student-athlete success. I believe Every student athlete deserves the opportunity to reach their full potential, both on and off the court and the field. You can purchase your copy directly from our website at www.cascadesafeproject.org. Join me and the Cascade Sports Network as we work together to help every student athlete succeed. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast and segment 2. One of the things you will hear me say constantly is that it rarely ends well. Even Joe Montana got dumped out of San Francisco. So they called this a, quote, football decision, Mike. Justin Tucker and the Baltimore Ravens have parted ways. The Ravens released the statistically greatest kicker in the history of the NFL. They drafted someone else, but also we have some personal issues that Justin Tucker is facing. Mike, did the Ravens make the right move, or should they have had a competition in camp and let it be on the field? What do you think, sir?
Let's think about the situation here. Justin Tucker is an incredibly important cog to the past of the Ravens. Okay, football wise, people make fun of kickers. You know, Adam Sandler had the song "The Lonely Kicker." But if you rank probably the third most important person behind a quarterback and maybe a middle linebacker calling the defense, a kicker is extremely important. Think how often they're on the field and the pressure that they deal with. Justin Tucker was an incredible asset to the Ravens. Now, there's a couple of problems. Mr. Tucker is under some scrutiny for sexual misconduct. Okay. In this world that we live in, there's certain crimes that you are guilty until proven innocent for. Anything having to do with sexual misconduct or any kind of illegal sexual activity could cause problems. Okay. It's kind of like gambling in sports. It's legal, but it's so frowned on. Okay. So that's problem number one. Two, the Ravens had had problems in the past with other players and their handling of situations. Everyone remembers when Ray Rice had a physical altercation and assaulted his girlfriend coming out of an elevator. The Ravens tried to handle it where he was innocent until proven guilty, and it didn't work out very well for the organization. Rice ended up retiring shortly after that, or leaving the league. I don't know if he ever officially retired, but it gave that organization a black eye for how they handled it. Whether that's right or wrong, way above my pay grade. I'm just thinking of things that could have helped move this thought process of the Ravens along. So Tucker had a problem. One, sexual issue with sexual misconduct. Two, the organization had a history of not handling scandal well. That's strike two against him. In this world of 24/7 news coverage, we've talked about this before, there's no hiding anything. I mean, they can find someone who you knew in middle school and say, you know, oh, he wore a half shirt to a dance. He didn't come dressed appropriately. And now he has a history of not being dressed appropriately going places, not even talking about what that is, but just saying inappropriate activity. Okay, he didn't wear dress pants to a dance. He wore jeans. I mean, things just snowball and get out of control. So in this world that we live in, a lot of times certain crimes, again, guilty until proven innocent. And I think this is one of those cases.
Yeah, it rarely ends well. I would have dumped him now too. I drafted a kicker. I can get another one. Unfortunately, that's just kind of how the business works. So we wish you the best in all of your future endeavors. Wrestling reference there. All right, conflict of interest. Tom Brady is the lead commentator on Fox Sports for football. He's not very good at it, but he got the job. He is also a partial owner of the Las Vegas Raiders. So within his Fox contract, there's a lot of things he can't do. In addition, the NFL draft just took place. And on one hand, the head coach says, I talk to Tom all the time. And on the other hand, Tom said, I don't talk shop about the draft. That's the coaches. And Tom has a prior relationship with the Sanders family. And he has said he texts Shador shortly after his slide to give him some good words of encouragement and so forth, which makes you a great human. But Mike, we're social studies people. What are you doing? And how come this is not being scrutinized?
Because Tom Brady is above the law. I mean, he is at that GOAT status where rules don't apply to him. like rules don't apply to famous people in Hollywood for certain things. Now, first of all, great player and could be a great owner, but you can't be an owner of an NFL team and criticize officials. It's not allowed. So, and he's a lead commentator for Fox. How can he literally do a job of analyzing a football game? And if he sees a bad call, can't criticize the official or the call because he's an owner. So he can't do that job effectively because he's legally, according to the bylaws of the NFL, not allowed to publicly critique the officials in the NFL. So that's a huge problem in itself, having those two hats on. That should not be allowed. Now, I know Fox fronted him a ton of money, but you know what? He can give that back or, just stop taking the checks. But if he's going to be an owner, he should not be a commentator as well. And honestly, he ain't that good at it yet anyway. So maybe he'll grow into it after another couple of years. But he and I never thought I'd say this, he's no Tony Romo. So, but, and then with the texting of Shedeur Sanders, this is another fine wire. The NFL has rules on tampering. He's part owner of another franchise. And I understand, hey, you know what, Shedeur, we go way back. Your dad and I are in the Hall of Fame together. He didn't go as high as he wanted. He was the 199th pick. So he understands that he wanted to go higher and what it's like to slide. But you know what? There's other ways to do it than texting. You could put it on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it now, so that you can still get that message and tag that young man, but it's for the whole world to see. It's not just a one-on-one conversation. Because as an owner, I don't think he can have a one-on-one conversation. I don't know all of the rules intricacies, but that sounds a little shady to me. And did he mean it to be shady? No. But if any other owner, if Robert Kraft was texting Shedeur Sanders, you don't think that the NFL would have been down on that or the media would have been crushing him on that? I mean, but Tom Brady is above the law. He's at a different level and he meets different standards than other people.
Somebody's going to have to explain this to me because none of this sounds correct in terms of contracts. Even when I work with organizations, I separate myself and saying, if I'm working with the Drake Group, I'm working with the Drake Group. I'm not working with CKA. If I'm working with CKA, I'm independent. If I'm teaching, I'm teaching. So if I'm extra mindful of these things and we're no budget productions, I gotta think something else can be explained more to the layman, if you will. All right. Finally, in this segment, are the Steelers tanking? They traded George Pickens, who I think was their wide receiver 2, with DK Metcalf as their wide receiver 1, even though they still don't have anybody to throw to. And they're collecting a lot of picks for the 2026 NFL draft, which they tell me will have better quarterbacks than the 2025 NFL draft. Mike, you've seen this. Are the Steelers trying not to be good? Is Mike Tomlin finally going to have his first losing season? And are they going to get rid of Mike Tomlin? If he has a losing season, what do you think, man?
Yeah, this is out of right field to me. I don't understand what the Steelers are doing. We talked about this before with their lack of quarterback. They're still hoping that Aaron Rodgers comes around and signs. But you know what? They've been talking about that since February. So who knows what's going on there? Does he go the way of Derek Carr and retire all of a sudden? Does someone else show interest? Is he just waiting around to see if someone else gets hurt on a better team? I don't know. We've talked about this almost every time the Steelers come up. One of the most storied franchises in NFL history. Okay. The Rooneys do things the right way. They have 3 coaches in like the last 60 years. They don't do things on a whim. They don't. They have a plan. They have a blueprint. They don't like flash. They don't like drama. They like to go out and play football and punch people in the face and go to the playoffs. And that's what Mike Tomlin's been doing. But I just don't understand it. They are giving things away. They're accumulating a ton of picks. Maybe they're hoping to be, in the top 10 pick and then have all this draft capital where they can move up to 1 or 2 and get the quarterback of their future, whoever that may be. We've talked about them having about 5 or 6 very good quarterbacks coming up. I'm not going to go into any names now, but we all know that one has a long history in his family of being out there. There's some quarterbacks in the SEC very highly rated. Some of the mock drafts for next year, they're much too early drafts, have a kid who wears orange and purple going first overall. So who knows what they have their eye on? But it just, if it looks like a duck and it walks like a duck and it smells like a duck, I don't know how a duck smells, but something doesn't seem right with what's going on in Pittsburgh right now. And I do not know their GM at all. I don't know his history. I don't know if he is the master of, cap and free. I don't know the gentleman's background enough to say, oh, this guy's got a plan. He always has a couple of cards up his sleeve. I don't know, but it just something seems off with it. I don't understand.
Yeah, well, we will definitely stay tuned to that. And fans, in segment 3, the schedule will be released this week. We're going to preview a couple of the games that have been early leaked. Can't wait for Connors to give us his thoughts as well. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast. Hi, everyone. Dr. Keith Adams here. And for over 30 years, I've dedicated my life to helping student athletes succeed, not just on the fields and the courts, but in the classroom and beyond. And that's why I founded the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project understands that finding the balance between academics and athletics is crucial for long-term success. That's why the CKA Save Project offers a range of programs, including personalized consulting, mentorship, and coming in 2027, our innovative Gap Year Basketball Academy designed to assist both young men and women reach their full potential both on and off the court. I'm incredibly excited to announce that the CKA Save Project is now partnering with the Cascade Sports Network. This partnership will allow us the opportunity to amplify our message and reach even more student athletes through the Odd Coaches Podcast and other exciting initiatives. Join the CKA Save Project and the Cascade Sports Network as we empower the next generation of student athletes. Visit CKA on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org to learn more. Let's work together to find the balance and help unlock your potential. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. In segment 3, are you ready for some football? With the NFL draft over, off season's here, rookie camps happen. The release of the 2025 schedule is this week. This coming Wednesday, we come out on Tuesday. So we won't have the full 272 game schedule in our hands, but we do know a few things. So let's react to this, Mike. Week 1, Thursday night opener in Philly. I don't know who the Eagles are going to play, but that's when you open the season. And week 1, we do know the Chargers will be in Brazil. How are you feeling, one, about the Thursday night game always being at the home of the Super Bowl champs? Is that a good recent thing to do?
I do. I think that's a great way to kick off the season. They just came off the high of last season, winning a Super Bowl. Obviously, the organization's having some success. Thursday night, everyone's into it. It's a standalone game. There's no other competition for it. It's on an incredible platform. Generally, they have a team that they played in the playoffs or the Super Bowl or the NFC Championship game. So it's usually a standout game. So I think that's a great, great tradition to have a team that won the Super Bowl the year before kick off the season to start. I think that is a wonderful way to start it, even though it's Philly.
What about the game in Brazil? I know the NFL wants to branch out. How are you feeling about the international games? We'll start in Brazil before we move over to London.
There's a couple things that always concern me about international games, and the main one being the playing surface. These fields are not constructed to have, I'm going to use sexy Dexter Lawrence as an example, to have a 6'4", 360-pound man running around digging up the turf. Stadiums have had trouble in the past. They were supposed to have some games in Mexico City. I believe they canceled the game.
They canceled that one. They said, because
the field these are made for soccer, which is a different animal. Okay, there's no crown on the field. It's drains differently. The turf is different. The grass roots are different. So that worries me the most of player safety. I know the NFL is very high on player safety, allegedly. But so that worries me. Two certain countries make a lot of sense to me. London, very easy. England, country, London. Sorry, history teacher. So England, very easy trip. But there's a lot of issues about going to places like Brazil and some other countries. There are people that went there for the World Cup from America, and they were given material before they go of when you get mugged down there. So it's like, the crime there can be a little scary, a little sketchy. So I worry about that for fans traveling in. But when it comes to an international flair for the NFL, I mean, it is the biggest brand of sports in American sports, I should say. I can't speak for the international soccer as well because I've never been abroad to see those games. But if they're trying to get the international market with certain teams having the marketing rights in certain countries, and we'll get into that more in a little bit with the Rams, I believe. It makes sense if you're trying to do these things, and especially because the world is so much smaller. The teams travel so much easier now. I mean, the planes, you can travel everything down there, carry all the equipment that you need. It's not as difficult as it was 30, 40 years ago. So that part of it makes sense for the global brand part, but I think they have to be smart about, and I'm not saying Brazil's a bad choice. It could be the greatest game going, but I think they can't just say any country we're going to go and play a game. I think they have to make sure that, one, it's a safety issue for the players, that the field's okay, and two, the marketability of it is all positive.
Well, one of the things that I like the London games because you got a game on in the morning, you got a game on at 9, 1, 4, and 8. So for doing things strictly for entertainment purposes only, it's a great day, especially if you are in the Vegas time zone. So week 5 in London, we will have the Minnesota Vikings against the Cleveland Browns. Week 6, we will have the Denver Broncos against the New York Jets. And week 7, we will have the LA Rams against the Jacksonville Jaguars. We will also have a game in Berlin. The Colts will be the host in Berlin. Irish eyes are smiling. The Steelers will host a game in Dublin. For the first time ever, it will be in Spain. The Dolphins will host a game in Madrid. And what are you thinking about those areas hosting games, man? Anything catch your eye? Any hosts catch your eye?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of the East Coast teams have made repeated trips over to London. The Jaguars have made several trips. The Giants went to Germany last year. The Jets have gone to England a couple times. So that makes sense to me. Geographically, the Jaguars are a smaller market area. Okay, Jacksonville is not the major metropolitan area that a lot of other markets are. So it makes sense to me to try to expand their brand to a place like London. And it's not hard for people, if they start drinking the Kool-Aid and get on the Jacksonville bandwagon, for them to travel here to the States. It's a nice destination. It's a good city. It's warm. It's a lot warm weather-wise. It's a lot nicer than London. Florida generally has better weather than London. So it would make sense for people from London to want to come here for a game to see it in Jacksonville. So that makes a lot of sense to me. The Minnesota-Cleveland game, I think that could be a good game. It has a lot of big names in it, but geographically, that doesn't make as much sense to me. The Vikings, we know, are coming off a great year last year, but what are the Vikings going to do without Sam Darnold? We talked about that before. So, and who's going to be the quarterback for the Browns? They have 17 people with a quarterback listed next to them in the roster. So that'll be interesting too, but we'll wait and see. And other cities, I mean, Berlin had the Giants last year, so that's great to have them there. The Steelers going to Dublin, the Rooneys, Irish background. Ireland is a great sports community. I'm wondering, again, how the field will be. Okay, that's a concern, but it'll be very interested there. And Madrid, great sports city. Real Madrid's one of the biggest soccer franchise, football franchises, sport franchises, however you want to put it, in the world. So we know that they have a fan base there. So I think, again, for the international brand, nothing's bigger than the Shield to Roger Goodell. So this is a way to make the NFL, the international monster that it is, even bigger.
All right. And to close, Thanksgiving. We're moving the kickoff times to 1 o'clock and 4:30 instead of 12:30 and 4. So that's one good thing. And the Christmas triple header will make history. The league has historically, air quote, avoided scheduling any games when Christmas has fallen on a Thursday. There has never been a Thursday game in NFL history, but now the league is fully embracing it, and it's irritating college football as well. So if the NFL sticks to the Christmas triple header, the games will be staggered. 1 o'clock game will be on Netflix. The 4:30 game will be on Netflix, and the 8:20 game will be on Amazon. Mike, are we doing too much, or the machine is going to be the machine, sir? What do you think?
The machine is the Terminator. Okay. The NFL is going to do what the NFL wants to do. They don't care if they step on the toes of NCAA football. They don't care if they step on the toes of the NBA, which was usually the biggest professional sport event on Christmas. They don't care. Because let's be honest, if it's an average run-of-the-mill NBA game, if it's an average run-of-the-mill NCAA football game, if it's an average run-of-the-mill NFL game, which one are you going to turn into? 90% of America. They're going to watch the NFL. Yes, and the NFL knows that. They know they're going to get the market. Okay. And what is Roger Goodell's number one job? To make money. He is a businessman, and he is a good businessman. Like him, love him, hate him, loathe him, whatever you want. The man makes a boatload of money because nothing is bigger than the shield, that NFL logo. That's what he goes by. That's what he does. And he makes bag. Okay. So having the games on Netflix pays a ton of money for that. It makes him wealthy. It makes him look good. It expands the market. On Prime's making a huge run in sports, Major League Baseball, the NFL. So again, it's Roger Goodell making money. Okay. Shifting the times for Thanksgiving. That again has to do with the timing and marketing for advertising dollars. Okay. It's all about the money, and no one is smarter business-wise than the NFL. They are the biggest, they're the 25 million pound gorilla in the room. They are just that big, and they're going to do what they want. And if not, they'll take their ball and they'll go from Netflix and Amazon to any other network that will have them. And everyone is lining up to get them.
They're even on YouTube because the Brazil game will be on YouTube.
Yep.
Oh man, they're even on Black Friday. What about the Egg Bowl or whatever?
Oh, the Battle of the Bands.
Nobody cares about college. You're right. All right, man. That's fun, man. So on behalf of our Teacher of the Month every month, Mike Connors, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast, also seen on the Cascade Sports Network. And we will see you on the sidelines. Until next time, take care.
Peace.
The Odd Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.